Yeah.
A lot of riders have talent. Very few make it to the top of the 450 class, and even fewer survive what it takes to stay there. Because this level isn't just about speed, it's about how much you're willing to lose before anything goes right. A family that sold their house to chase a dream. He broke his collarbone twice in a single year. Then his own body started turning against him. At one point, walking away felt more realistic than making it. And somehow, he made it through all of it. Right now, Hunter Lawrence is at the top of the 450 championship fight. But that's only the surface. This is how he got here. And it did not come easy. Because Hunter's story was never about talent alone. It was about what you're willing to sacrifice, and whether you can survive long enough to actually cash in on it. Hunter Lawrence wasn't supposed to come from a powerhouse system. Born in Landsborough, a small town on Australia's Sunshine Coast, no factory pipelines, no built-in path to the top, just Darren and Emma Lawrence, and a dad who believed a dirt bike could teach you everything you needed to know. Before the results, before the spotlight, that's where this started. Darren Lawrence didn't put his kids on motorcycles because he wanted to manufacture champions. He did it because he believed the sport would build character.
Sport, I believe, in general, for every child, it's a fun way to teach them a work ethic to get to a level they want to be.
The discipline of managing a machine at speed, the responsibility of knowing what can go wrong when you don't focus, and the work ethic of getting back up after a crash and going again. Hunter absorbed all of it, and then some. From an early age, he and his dad would sit down and study professional races. Brian Villapoto, Chad Reed. They weren't just watching, they were breaking down body position, line choice, how elite riders managed a full 30-minute moto.
Watch YouTube videos, we watch Reedy, we watch Villo, we watch the guys of that time, watch what they did, and then we replicate that to get our technique better.
Reed mattered most, an Australian competing at the very top of American motocross. That meant something. By the time Hunter was on the junior circuit, it was clear he'd outgrown Australia faster than Australia could keep up with him. In 2013, at just 13 years old, he placed second at the FIM 85 Junior World Championship. In 2015, he swept the Australian Junior Motocross Championships in both the 125cc and 250cc classes, and placed third at the FIM 125 Junior World Championship. The domestic scene had given him everything it had to offer. The next level was in Europe, and getting there was going to cost everything. In 2015, Darren and Emma Lawrence sat down and made a decision that most parents would never be able to stomach. They sold their home. They liquidated nearly everything they owned, and they packed up their family and moved to Belgium to give Hunter and his younger brother Jet direct access to the European motocross scene. And with two young sons and a dream, they landed in Europe.
We had to sell everything and make sure we got everything sold so we had enough money over there. And it was a little rough in Europe. We didn't have heaps of money and we were doing not too...
The pressure of that decision fell hardest on Hunter. He was the one who was supposed to justify the whole thing. Every race mattered. Every result had a financial consequence attached to it. A poor finish wasn't just disappointing. It was money out of the family's pocket at a time when there wasn't much left to give. When the initial capital started running low, Darren went back to Australia to work in the mining sector. Hard, physical labor, far from his family, sending money back to keep the European effort alive. Emma stayed in Europe, handling everything: logistics, travel, budgets, race entries. Every expense was mapped out. Every mile to the next race accounted for. They were operating on margins so tight that one mechanical failure at the wrong moment could turn into something much worse than a DNF. What that kind of pressure does to a young rider is complicated. On one hand, it can break you. You overthink, you ride scared, you hold back because the cost of crashing just feels too heavy. On the other hand, if you handle it right, it forges something in you that a comfortable factory program just never could. Hunter learned to race with the awareness that there was no backup plan. There was just the result on the board and what came next. That shaped him deeply. In 2016, Hunter entered the EMX 250 European Championship riding a Suzuki. He was racing on the same tracks as the best developing riders in the world. Different surfaces, different climates, brutal travel schedules. He won the German round, earned his promotion, and proved that the gamble was at least pointed in the right direction.
My other one is Teutschenthal, Germany. They just had the MXGP there. EMX 250. I won both motos, won that, which was like the first breakthrough, which was really cool in my first year there. That was sweet.
For the 2017 season, he stepped up to the full FIM MX2 World Championship with the Suzuki World Team. He finished 9th overall. Decent for a first full year, especially with a couple injuries that cost him rounds, but not the kind of result that lights up sponsorship boardrooms. Then came Matterley Basin, the 2017 Motocross of Nations in the United Kingdom. Team Australia sent Hunter out in the MX2 class, and he delivered one of the most stunning results of his young career. He won the MX2 class overall. He beat riders who had been competing at the top level of international motocross for years, including the reigning 250 motocross champion Zach Osborne.
Motocross of Nations in Matterley Basin when I won the MX2 class there against Zacho. I'm going to name drop. I'll be that guy, which was huge. You know, I was 17 and he was the current AMA national champion. So that was cool. That was really cool to race against him.
He won the Ricky Carmichael Award, given to the youngest and highest placing rider in the Motocross of Nations final. Overnight, every major American factory team was paying attention. For 2018, he moved to Honda 114 Motorsports. He finished 9th overall in the MX2 World Championship, with injuries again costing him rounds. A second-place MX2 finish at the Motocross of Nations at Redbud reinforced the trajectory. But 2018 also introduced a pattern that would haunt his career for years. At the MXGP of Trentino, he broke the middle metacarpal in his right hand. He missed a few rounds. He came back. Then a violent crash in Latvia left him with a head injury and mandatory concussion protocols. More rounds missed. The sport was already extracting a physical price, and that price was about to get much higher. The destination had always been America. Supercross and pro motocross championships in the United States were where the money was, where the culture was, where the biggest names in the sport made their reputations. In 2019, it finally happened. When American teams came calling, the Lawrences negotiated the way families do. Darren and Emma made it clear, both brothers come together, or neither does. There was no splitting up the family across continents after everything they'd already sacrificed to keep it together. The brothers signed with the powerhouse Geico Honda team, also known as Factory Connection.
Geico Honda gave us an opportunity to come over here because this was the main picture and the big picture really, to come to America, do Supercross and outdoors, and no, we're definitely lucky to be here where we are now, like nowadays. But yeah, just coming to here was just a roller coaster.
Hunter was headed to America. The gamble was finally entering its most important phase. What happened next would test every bit of the mental toughness he'd built in Europe. Before the 2019 Supercross season even started, during preseason testing, Hunter broke his collarbone. Just like that, the entire indoor season was gone. He sat and watched from the sideline while other riders raced under those stadium lights. He came back healthy for the outdoor pro motocross season, and he was fast, genuinely, immediately fast. He was sitting 4th in the championship standings after 8 rounds, taking moto wins, showing everyone that the pace was real. Then a mechanical failure on a jump face sent him over the bars. Broken collarbone. Again. Second time in the same year. He missed 2 rounds, came back, raced Budds Creek, and then a training incident happened. His foot hit the ground at the wrong angle, his knee twisted, torn ACL, torn meniscus, mild MCL sprain. Season over. He ended the year 10th in the outdoor standings, which told you absolutely nothing about how fast he actually was. And somehow, 2019 wasn't even the hardest year. In 2020, Hunter's problems stopped being just about crashes. Before the Supercross season even really got going, he tore his labrum and rotator cuff, which wiped out most of his indoor campaign. He eventually made it back for the final Salt Lake City rounds, but the season never had a chance to build real momentum. Outdoors didn't clean it up either. He opened a year with a rough start at Loretta Lynn's, then had his shoulder come out again at Loretta Lynn's too. By the end of the season, he needed surgery.
Bike seized, collarbone, knee, a couple weeks later. Knee, come back, 4 weeks back on the bike. Full shoulder reco. All right, come back. COVID, training, just trying to get back healthy, fit and strong, coming to outdoors. First round, Loretta's, mutter. Second weekend, dislocate my shoulder, didn't even crash. Need full reco again. That was what did it. And like obviously so much had happened between them.
And underneath the injuries, he was dealing with something even deeper. Hunter later said that his body was overloaded with inflammation. His energy was gone, and the harder he trained, the more it seemed to break him down. In his words, his body was basically cannibalizing itself.
Health issues, like just a lot. Like, dude, cycling, everything is so damn hard because my body's essentially eating itself away. Like I'm a type 2 diabetic.
And the results showed it. He never got a clean run at the season, and the numbers didn't come close to reflecting the rider he actually was. And during that period, Hunter Lawrence sat with the idea of retirement. Not just in passing, he genuinely considered it.
It's me, Cynthia, Dad, and Johnny, and I was just bawling my eyes out. I was done. I was over it. Like,
the family had sacrificed so much. He'd survived financial precarity in Europe, 2 broken collarbones in a single season, a torn ACL, and now a body that wouldn't cooperate no matter what he did. The return on all that sacrifice looked like it might never arrive. What pulled him back was a combination of things. He worked closely with Johnny O'Mara, the highly respected trainer and former motocross champion. Rather than continuing to force high-volume training through a compromised body, they completely rebuilt the approach. Nutrition was overhauled, recovery protocols were restructured, training loads were redesigned around what his body could actually process and rebuild from, not what the old-school motocross training culture said a rider should be doing. It was a complete reset, and it changed everything. When Hunter talked about coming out the other side of that process, he was clear. Any training he was doing was now rebuilding his body, building muscle and fitness rather than destroying itself. The difference was night and day. That physiological overhaul wasn't just a fix for 2020. It was the reason he'd still be competing at the highest level years later. It didn't fix everything, but it gave him a way forward. When Hunter Lawrence walked into the 2021 season, he was a different athlete. He was now on the HRC Honda factory team alongside Jet. The resources were the best in the sport. His body was finally cooperating. His head was clear, and he had something that no amount of talent or factory support can manufacture: the knowledge of what he'd already survived. 2021 was strong, 2nd overall in the 250 Supercross West region, 3rd overall in the Pro Motocross 250 Championship. Results that put him firmly in the conversation as one of the best riders in the 250 class. But 2021 was also when Jet began making his presence felt, and 2022 was when the younger brother's rise started to generate headlines that overshadowed just about everyone else in motocross. Hunter's 2022 Supercross campaign was outstanding by any measure. A 90% podium percentage, 4 main event wins, another 2nd place overall in the 250 West, and a 2nd place MX2 finish at the Motocross of Nations. For most riders, those numbers represent a career year. For Hunter, they represented everything except a championship. There's a version of that situation that erodes a rider. You keep showing up, you keep putting in the work, you keep posting the results, and the title goes to someone else, season after season. For Hunter, that someone else was often his own brother. What's fascinating about how he handled it is that he never seemed to collapse under it. He was never the guy in the paddock with a chip on his shoulder about the coverage Jet was getting or the fact that his own work was getting filed under the other Lawrence. He understood the dynamic. He'd been part of building it. But privately, the drive for his own individual title was never switched off. 2023 is when he finally got to act on it. The 2023 AMA Supercross season sent Hunter to the 250 East region, and he made it look clinical. He won 7 of the 9 races he raced. Houston, he clinched the championship at Nashville with a full round still to race.
He's celebrating before he even gets to the finish line. All he had to do was finish in the top 20 with his brother watching. The Lawrences could be celebrating back-to-back weekends.
That's not a close championship. That's a statement. He carried that straight into the Outdoor Pro Motocross Series. Outdoor motocross exposes everything. Weakness, fitness, mistakes, over and over again. Hunter had no cracks. He raced with the patience and calculation that only comes from having already learned every other hard lesson. He didn't need to throw massive risks because he understood how to manage a championship over a full season. When the final round at Ironman Raceway arrived, a 5th place in the opening moto was all he needed mathematically. And he knew that, so he took it. He clinched the 2023 Pro Motocross 250 Championship. Both titles, indoor and outdoor, in a single year.
win right here at the end. Here's Hunter Lawrence. He cruised the entire second moto because he already had that national championship wrapped up.
Hunter Lawrence became one of the few riders in history to complete a 250 class clean sweep. And given everything it took to get there, every broken bone, every month on a couch recovering, every dark period during that 2020 season where retirement felt real, the story of how it arrived made it mean that much more. He closed 2023 with a second-place MX2 finish at the Motocross of Nations. But before that next step ever started, something had already changed. In Florida, the Lawrences took over the land that was Chad Reed's old compound and rebuilt it around Hunter and Jet. More reps, more intensity, no wasted time. Round 1, first race in the 450 class, and Hunter Lawrence doesn't even make the main event. A first-turn crash in his heat race, a poor start in the last chance qualifier, and suddenly, the newly crowned 250 class double champion is watching the main event from the sideline, in the first race of his 450 career. He could have folded, but he didn't. He rebuilt his momentum round by round. Top 5 finishes stacked up. He finished the indoor season 9th overall. Not the splash anyone expected from a 250 champion stepping up, but the 450 class has humbled far more celebrated riders than Hunter Lawrence. Where the true picture of his 450 ability emerged was outside, in the Pro Motocross Series. He held the red plate, the championship points lead, from rounds 3 through 6. He posted 9 podiums and 3 race wins across the season. He finished 2nd overall in the championship standings. The rider who beat him was Jet. So, in 2024, for the first time in American professional motocross, 2 brothers finished 1st and 2nd in the premier outdoor class, Hunter and Jet Lawrence. The family that sold a house in Queensland to chase a dream across the world was now occupying 2 of the top spots on the biggest stage in the sport. He backed it up with a 2nd-place finish at the Super Motocross World Championship, including winning the 2nd playoff round. The 450 title was coming. It was just a matter of time. Then 2025 tried to take it away. At the Tampa round of the 2025 Supercross season, Hunter crashed in his heat race. The damage was severe, a raised and partially torn labrum in his right shoulder, alongside multiple cracks in his humerus bone. Surgery was required. The rest of the Supercross season was done. For a lot of riders, that's the beginning of a long spiral. But the physiological foundation Hunter had built since 2020 meant his rehabilitation was accelerated. He came back for the 2025 Pro Motocross season in proper shape. He finished 2nd overall in the 450 championship, behind Jet again. And at the Ironman National, he took his first career 450 class overall victory. Then, with Jet and Kyle Webster forming Team Australia for the 2025 Motocross of Nations, Hunter delivered something that no Australian motocross team had ever achieved. In 2024, at Matterley Basin, the same track where Hunter had won the MX2 class back in 2017, Team Australia took the Chamberlain Trophy for the first time in the nation's history. And in 2025, they defended it. Hunter posted perfect 1-1 scores in his motos to guarantee back-to-back championships for Australia. That's not just a personal milestone. That's a national sporting achievement.
First moto I had, I was on the ground a lot, too much, more than I feel like I have been all year, so we tidied that up in the last one. It was good. Thankful for everyone that was behind us, the amazing nation of Australia behind us, the American fans, my boys here, Kyle and Jet, mate, they rode unreal.
In 2026, Hunter Lawrence came into the Supercross season with a different energy. 3rd year in the 450 class, a body that finally knows what it can handle. Racecraft built across 3 continents and more than a decade of hard racing. And a clear shift in mindset. Stop being the guy who almost wins, and start being the guy who does. At Arlington, it finally clicked. His first 450 Supercross main event win, a result years in the making. Then Indianapolis, the Triple Crown format, 3 sprint races, no room for mistakes. Hunter put himself in position early, then delivered when it mattered most, winning the final race and taking the overall in a pressure situation against one of the best to ever do it. Moments like that don't just win races, they change how a rider is viewed. This season hasn't been perfect. There have been battles, mistakes, and controversy along the way. But for the first time in his 450 career, Hunter isn't chasing the front of the field. He's part of it. He's in the fight every weekend, and more importantly, he's proving he belongs there.
An overall victory in the 450 class. That was 2 races ago, then gets the overall in the...
Hunter Lawrence did not build this career alone. Darren Lawrence worked in an Australian mine to wire money back to a family racing bikes across Europe. Emma Lawrence held the operational side of a privateer racing effort together on almost nothing. They weren't just supportive parents at the finish line. They were participants in every hard decision the career required. Then there's Tate, Hunter's younger, autistic brother. People in the paddock describe him as the most grounded, joyful presence in the entire operation. He's not interested in lap times or championship standings. He cares about cars. For Hunter and Jet, who live inside one of the most high-pressure sporting environments on the planet, having Tate around provides a perspective the sport itself can't.
He's just a champion. And he's like funny. He's like genuinely funny.
It's your boy, got the Air Force Ones.
He's always awesome to have around.
Hunter's partner, Cynthia Tonis, left her life in Switzerland to follow him to the United States. Hunter's spoken openly about what that sacrifice means to him. When his career winds down, it'll be his turn to give back what she gave up. And then there's Jet. The dynamic between the two brothers is unlike anything the sport has seen before. Jet commands the spotlight. His rise has been meteoric and public. Hunter's rise has been slower, harder, and more quietly earned. Hunter understands the role he played. He was the first one there. He absorbed the failures when the family couldn't afford them. His trial and error experiences informed how Jet's career was managed. He's been fine with that.
My relationship with Jet is pretty good as well. It's crazy to think how far we've come and stuff from kids, always like bickering and fighting and stuff.
But in 2026, he's making it clear the background is not where he intends to stay. At some point in a career like Hunter Lawrence's, all the pieces stop feeling like separate moments. The sacrifices, the injuries, the setbacks that looked like they might end everything before it ever really started. They stop being backstory and start becoming the reason a rider can handle this level. Because the 450 class doesn't reward potential. It rewards riders who've already been tested, physically, mentally, and over time. And that's exactly what Hunter Lawrence is now. Not the kid chasing an opportunity. Not the rider trying to prove something. A rider who's been through enough to know how to stay there. So, is Hunter Lawrence finally that guy in the 450 class? Or is there still another level he hasn't hit yet? Thanks for watching, and stay wicked.